Ah, the surfing lifestyle. Can you smell the salty sea air and feel the soft California breeze on your face? No, you probably can't. Neither can I. And that's because you're watching this on the internet and I'm in a woodland car park in southern England in the winter. But we can dream, can't we? Because that's what this, the Volkswagen ID Buzz, wants you to do. So excuse me while I hang 10 and whatever it is, cling on to some waves, dude. I'm not a surfer. All jokes aside, the ID Buzz brings a genuine sense of fun to what is otherwise a very dowdy type of car, the people carrier, bit like fluff on your wellies. Despite being a thoroughly modern electric car, its styling evokes the classic Volkswagen bus from the 1950s and 60s, hence my bad surfing references. And it looks especially cool and retro with this two-tone paint. By the way, if an ID Buzz is on your potential shopping list, then you might also be looking at a rather boring but practical Mercedes V-Class, or perhaps an excitingly chunky Land Rover Defender. But this is bigger and more practical. Now, the ID Buzz has actually been around for a couple of years, but this long wheelbase version is pretty new to the party, having arrived in 2024, along with a range of other updates that include more power, bigger batteries, and an improved infotainment system. First though, let's discuss that longer wheelbase, because what it means is that it has brought 7 seats to the party, and there aren't many cars, whether that's SUV or people carrier, that can comfortably carry 7 fully grown adults with enough space. And I'm talking Tim Rodey fully grown, not 5'4.5" Rebecca Jacksons. First to note, if you have a big family or lots of friends, there are 4 sets of Isofix in this car. Trays for in-car picnics, little pockets for ball rumbles, adjust your climate control here, and these seats move backwards and forwards, as does this one. You can do this to get easily into the back, but I actually think I can fit through that gap. I'm going to do it. Look, see, I told you, proper full-size seats for full-size adults. I could take my parents in the back of this car and they would be happy. Cup holder, USB-C, pencil tray. It's got 306 litres of space here, which isn't very much. It's about the same as a Volkswagen Polo, but is what you'd expect from a car like this, because it's about the same as in a Land Rover Discovery or a BMW X7. What I do like though is here, if you have got small children, they sit on this ledge and you can put their wellies on for them. It's great. And then under here, this is how to be organised in your boot. Volkswagen has taught me something. When you want it as a 5-seater, then there's lots of space there. And if that isn't enough and you're going to a Swedish furniture store or picking up some antique furniture maybe, you can put these seats down as well, and then you've got yourself a van. For a slabby 2.8-tonne vehicle, the Buzz is surprisingly efficient. If you drive it fairly carefully, you should easily manage a real-world range in excess of 200 motorway miles. And this is, of course, where you'll do those motorway miles, and it feels very funky indeed. This armrest is quite handy, and it's also fitted with a style package, so it's got these light coloured seats, which we're struggling to keep clean today, so how it will fare with a family over the course of a few months or years, it might not do so well. It's also got these really attractive dash inlays, and it all feels suitably premium. And on this particular car, there's heated seats that are also massage and a heated steering wheel, which has been very welcome in this wintry weather. This particular long wheelbase model comes in at £64,345 basic or £71,615 with options, which sounds pretty punchy for a Volkswagen people carrier, but is pretty much par for the course if you compare it to an Audi Q7 or a Land Rover Defender. Now, earlier on, we mentioned that the long wheelbase gets an improved infotainment system, as does the regular Volkswagen ID Buzz from 2024 onwards. And what you get is a 12.9-inch screen instead of a 12-inch screen. It isn't just the 0.9 inches that is the story here, it's the actual system itself. It's got large icons, a logical layout, easy to use, shortcut buttons at the top, crisper graphics, and a faster processor. Good work, VW. We've still got the frustrating touch-sensitive sliders for the air conditioning controls and the volume control, although there's also a haptic button on the steering wheel, which some love and some don't. So you can't have everything, can you? So let's take it for a spin. But before we do that, we'll just have a quick chat about charging. If you are driving with small children, they will need to get out the passenger side. In actual fact, anyone will need to get out the passenger side while you're charging, because the charge point is on the driver's side and the door fouls the charge point. So that is worth noting. And then if you would like to charge from 10% to 80%, it will take you 30 minutes, regardless of whether it is the longer wheelbase with the bigger battery or the smaller wheelbase with the smaller battery. And the longer wheelbase, this one charges at a rate of 200 kilowatts, and the smaller one charges at a rate of 185 kilowatts, which is a bit slower because it has a smaller battery. You still get from 10% to 80% in 30 minutes. The first thing you notice is that for such a big bus, quite literally, it's got plenty of performance. It's got 286 horsepower, which is a bit more than it had before, because previous models had 204 horsepower, which is enough to go from 0 to 60 in 7.9 seconds in this one and 7.6 seconds in the regular wheelbase version. And it has a limited top speed of 99 miles per hour. And quite frankly, in a vehicle this size and shape, that is plenty fast enough. There is also the GTX version, which gets 340 horsepower and the ability to get to 60 miles per hour in just 6.1 seconds. In other words, hot hatch territory, but the standard car feels plenty fast enough. The second thing you notice is how manoeuvrable the ID Buzz is, despite its size. It has an impressive turning circle, and thanks to its boxy shape, you get a good idea of where the edges are. Along with the parking sensors and cameras, that means it's actually easy to park it and navigate around fairly small car parks. It's certainly very easy to drive them, but the ride, at least in this longer wheelbase model, is a bit bouncy, giving you an odd nodding sensation. It's not overly irritating, but it is slightly noticeable. I've been told the shorter wheelbase models don't suffer from this in quite the same way. That said, for such a brick-shaped car, the ID Buzz has very little wind and road noise. In fact, it is more refined than the Multivan, the firm's petrol-powered people carrier. Look, we're not going to beat around the bush. £71,000 after options is a lot of money, but it's about the same as a Land Rover Defender, which can also go off-road but isn't as practical, and it's not as much as a posh people carrier such as the Mercedes V-Class. Real-world range is reasonable. This is the first time I've needed to charge it, and I've been driving it around all week. That said, Volkswagen's very own ID7 will go a lot further if you need a long-range electric family car. Other than that though, it's hard to find fault with the ID Buzz, and many reasons to praise it, mainly because it brings a bit of fun to an otherwise fairly dull type of car.